Hello guys, this is Casey, this is Raw again, and this is video game hunting once again. It's been a while to do this. It's brutally hot out here the last couple weeks. If you can see me sweating, I just got out of work and it's just absolutely brutal. It's to the point it's just bad with the weather. I'm just glad I'm done for today. Can't wait to get through the week. Let me get through tomorrow and get to my favorite part of the week, is the weekend. Or the Friday evening, my favorite part of the week. It is just nasty right now. It's just really brutal. Sorry about that. I got distracted. So yeah, I'm heading off. I'm planning to at least hit the video game store, vintage stock right beside it, and then one other vintage stock today. So I want to talk a little bit, continuing about the whole thing about what's a console, what's not a console. I'm in the middle right now of making the video, so it could come out before this or after this. So, I was reviewing this guy's couple of systems that he had displayed. And just like I said, he's padding his numbers because he had two PS3s. He had like a slim and a fat PS3. Then he had two Sega Genesis, one with the Sega CD and one with the 32X. And they were both the Model 2 Sega Genesis. So I was like, and then it showed him I can understand have one Pong clone displayed, but he had like 2 or 3 of them. I'm like, okay. And then he had like 2 or 3 rows full of those mini consoles. Like he had an NES Mini, Super Nintendo Mini, PlayStation 1, TurboGrafx, the Neo Geo, and the Commodore 64 Mini. I was like, if you're going to put that on your shelves, at least cramp them all together on the bottom shelf. That's how I feel about that. Not like spacing them out. Like, to me, it's just stupid. That, like, yes, I have a little mini knockoff small NES. But, I mean, this guy is like displaying. Oh, I am displaying all my systems too. Oh, most of them. There's a few that's still in their own box. Because one, I don't have the room to do it. And they're just there and where they're sitting. I really need to clean them up and fix where all the wirings are not hanging. That's the one thing I applaud the guy that his shelf is like, I don't like the store looking shelf from like, you know, those metal wire looking shelving. Well, he has that like 2 sides full of systems. But his setup, I applaud, because he has all his wiring set up nice. And then he also has his trying to think. I need water. That's what I really need. Yeah, it is all his wiring together. And then the other thing I applaud, I'm happy for the guy. He has several rare systems that I don't have that I would love to have. Like he has the Apple Pippin. Yes, Apple made a console before Google. I wouldn't even call Google what they made with a console, because I mean, did they even have like a game stick where you put it in the TV or what? I know you can play it on your PC, and it had their own controller. I wouldn't even consider that a console. And then the guy had an Ouya. I'm okay with that. A little mini box, fine, whatever. Little computer box, like an Ouya, but even though it played more of mobile games than anything, didn't really have the power to play anything real good. And some people hack those to make it even run better and play better games. But then he would have some stuff that, like, he's padding the numbers with some garbage ones, like the one that's like a Trivia. It's like Trivia, the game console. And then it's like the other one that I didn't like, he picked up and he installed in his collection, was the Leap Star, the Wii, and a knockoff looking, that looks like a Leap Star Wii machine, because it has a camera on the console and has motion control games, while the Trivia machine, all it does is play trivia. So I mean, if the guy wants that in his collection like that, fine, whatever. I just feel like the setup was good, but I feel like he wants just to feel like he has everything, or like game systems everywhere, when he's padding the numbers. Like, dude, I have all three Sega Genesis versions, all three models. I got the first one that I grew up with, the Model 1. Then I got the Model 2 like a year and a half ago. Model 3 about a year ago. But I don't put Model 2 or 3 out for display, just only the box. No, it's inside the box. I got the RCA Studio 2, and it's in its box. I got the Commodore 64 in its box, and I'm sure there's a couple other systems. The Achimax, now to me that really doesn't count. Yeah, it has games, but it's weird. It's the Achimax. What it is, you have to have a VCR, or you could actually play it with. What you could do, I think you could do it cheating without having a VCR. You could probably play it on the footage from YouTube or wherever. What it is, you use a VCR, and their game setup is, or their game cartridges are tapes, VHS tapes. So the VHS tape doesn't know if you're doing good or horrible. So the Achimax, all it does is just counts your hits, and that is it. I need to review a couple of them, but I gotta make sure my freaking VCR is working okay because last thing I want to do is my VCR eating my tapes. I'm trying to think. Good God, it's 100 degrees now. It was like 102 when I got in the car. Dropped, and talk about that, it just says 102 again. Nice. But, yeah, I want to do the Action-Max. And then Sega has this, like, system, it's called the video driver. It's kind of like the Action-Max, but instead of it reading hits, well, it's weird because you're driving a car and it can tell if you hit a car or you run off the road. It would run the points down, I believe, on your game console. And I have that not in its box, but I don't act like it's a freaking real system. I mean, shoot. I don't even know you can count the Sega Pico as a system. I mean, yeah, it has cartridges, but there's no actual controller. I mean, you have a stylus, and you have the controllers on the Pico console itself. It's weird. And if you're gonna, like I said, if you're gonna display a Pong clone, just do one. Have like one that represents what a Pong clone is. Don't have multiple showing. Like I got 2 or 3 of them, or 4 of them. I have one Pong clone, and I believe it's from Atari, displayed, while the other 3 is either in their box or sitting on top of the game shelves. And then, you know, if those freaking things he counts as a game console, then what about the plug and play games? I mean, those play games on it too. Yeah, it doesn't have any cartridges, but it has games on it, and I think has way better games than whatever those 2 things had. And then, if he's comparing, one of them, he said one was classified as a toy. So to me, if it's classified a toy, then it doesn't count. Yes, NES considered itself as a toy, but that was a way to get the NES into like Walmart and Kmart and Toys R Us after like the first year to get people addicted to it. And then they're like, okay, it's a real, what it really is, console. That's how I feel about that. And then, like I was saying, the guy considered the trivia game, the console, he considered a game console because, one, it hooks up to the TV, it has games, and it has cartridges. Then what about systems like the more modern systems, like the Xbox One, all digital, and then the Xbox Series S and the PlayStation 5 digital? I mean, those don't have physical games, but I feel like those were more of a consoles than those other ones, because I mean, we are heading towards all digital soon. Eventually, we figured it would be this generation that the consoles would be all digital, and we're heading that direction. I mean, eventually, yeah, people would still love to have physical, but a lot of people are moving on to just digital. I can see why. It's convenient, but for me, I like having a physical copy. So, I mean, I'm not trying to knock the guy hard, but I'm just explaining why. I mean, the guy has good content, but I just didn't like the choices that he had with his game console collection. But I'll be right back. Royalties to the developers and put credit. Alright guys, I'm back. Oh my god. There was some cool stuff in the game store. They always have something cool at the game store. But, I have to tell you, this guy that was... salesperson was dealing with a dipshit. Obviously, this guy was, trying to get into collecting, or he might be trying to resell. Like, good luck trying to. They already have their stuff priced accordingly, and they deservedly so, because they have a brick and mortar store. They deserve to price their games at retail price. But the guy was just asking a billion stupid questions, to the point like he almost wanted to try to figure out their business strategy or something like that. It was like, what's funny, at first he was interested with a Atari 2600 Mini, no, Junior, a small version. When they were selling the 7800, they sold a small version of Atari 2600 called the Junior. And granted, he was explaining between the Atari 2600 Junior and the Hyperkin Retron 77 that plays 2600 games. And he was kind of going back and forth which one he wanted, and he's like, I'll get the original. Watch this idiot will come back. He's like, oh, my flat screen TV doesn't accept the signal. Like, and this guy's older than I am. It's obvious. But, the guy had to explain that the original one doesn't take SD cards. I mean, they do mod some of their stuff. And accordingly, they asked for a little higher price, and rightfully so. So the guy had to explain to him, like, and then he was thinking about it, he was like, okay, and then he figured that all these Continent games are going to be priced at the same price for Atari. This guy straight up had no idea what the fuck he was getting into. Had no idea about anything. I wish I would voice record him a lot sooner, because I laughed. I kind of chuckled when he said, I'm a game collector. Like, are you sure about that? Like, you might be collecting games, but you're not a collector, motherfucker. That's like, I have some, I have a couple game systems and some games. I'm a collector now. No, you're not. You're just a gamer. Nothing wrong with being a gamer, but if you're gonna call yourself a collector, you need to know some things. And then he's like asking him for a list of games for the Atari 2600, and he had to be told, well, why is Combat and Pac-Man the cheapest? I'm like, well, Combat was a pack-in game for the Atari 2600. Pac-Man was one of those games that sold millions of copies. So he was like, oh. And then he's like, yeah, almost like business prices. I don't know if the guy really was into gaming as much as he says he was at all. He might just got interested hearing about collecting or getting into retro games. Nothing wrong with that. And the guy just sounded like an idiot. And then when he said that he was a collector, I'm like, I should have showed him my collection. It's like, so, you're a collector? But, guy sounds stupid. He didn't know anything about the Atari 2600 and nothing about the new, the modern versions that plays these retro games. So I'm like, this guy had no fucking idea. And I mumbled to the guy, to the worker. I was like, sure. I'm like, won't have a problem. And the guy's like, I won't have a problem. I'm like, sure. But I'm gonna go ahead and hit this vintage stock. And I'll see you back. Hopefully the audio that I will, hopefully I can play it for you. I tried to disguise my phone, hiding it. So if the audio sounds like shit, I might have to scrap it. But if it sounds good enough, we'll call this like the dipshit alert or something like that. But I'll be right back, guys.
Like an average pipe.
Well, like, because they were so hard to get for so long, like, the only ones that look almost the same are all over the place.
Right.
Like, they'll have way more games on them, but the biggest giveaways don't have, like, AV inputs, whereas the Nintendo Grand actually only has HDMI.
Okay.
And the Nintendo one only has 30 games, but it's
Yeah,
got,
because
like,
I've already got the mini. I just need the remote controller, and I've got power cords, but the power cord I'm using is kind of short now, so I got to sit there and play with it, make it work. But and C64 mini is cool. Almost, I'm good with it.
I was wanting to get one, but the fact that
It's just fun to play with. It's fun to play with, though. Really is.
well, they purposely, like, they left it somewhere you could install games on there via USB. But there's a crap ton of licensed games they couldn't put on here legitimately, but download them.
I really shouldn't be over here, but I am. So.
These two, the two games, right now the $114.98.
Oh, okay. Can you print me out a list on your Atari games when you get some
No,
time?
we don't keep them in inventory.
You don't keep them in anymore.
Well, there's so many of them, like,
Right.
we're gonna have like over a dozen.
You keep getting this stuff in. You get this stuff in constantly, right? Constantly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Atari's a weird case, like, collectability on it. Long gonna, they're like long gone. Collectors got most of the rare games.
Right.
15 years from now.
Alright, this is it. This is it. I thought I was stopping right there. So, I'm stopping there, man.
122, 57.
Cause I gotta pay this guy back, man. Tomorrow when my check head goes through. So it's like I'm borrowing the money overnight.
It was pretty. Well, if you had a 50 block, it would have been.
Like I'm borrowing the money overnight.
It'll take a sec, but it'll be rolled out in a thing. If you want, I have this one. I was just gonna throw in our.
You gonna throw it in?
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm cool with it, man. Hey, I take tips. I'm cool with that.
It's pretty good.
What is it? Which one? Which one is that?
Story Quest. I think it was one of those that came with a comic book that kind of told you the story as you played it.
All right.
Yep, they're pretty big.
It's like this, man. I just collect this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
This one might be.
so y'all been staying pretty busy. So what's this? These two here?
Just combat and backhand, the two most common games.
Okay, two most common. Okay. And I need a bag for that one too, please.
Okay.
You only have one joystick, not two.
Usually we only have like one sold with it.
Okay.
If we have more than one, we'll package two together.
All right.
It's like we've always got a box of junk joysticks. Like sometimes it'll take like parts from 3 or 4 of them to
Get one going. Okay.
It's about half the time all it is it needs like a little lubricant around it.
Really?
The board will become.
So you just recycle and make them work, then? Huh?
We do what we can.
All right.
We won't just chuck it out because it don't work. We'll try to figure out.
So I mean, it just comes from just eBay. Y'all get stuff off eBay, or
We'll order new stuff.
do y'all like
supplies, but
people like donate and stuff like that?
It's mainly what people bring in.
Oh yeah.
If we find decent lots on eBay that we know we can make something out of, we might.
All right, man. See you later.
Alright, I'm back out. They had nothing new. Like I said, I believe this one that I think they're consolidating their games. I think they're kind of getting away from video games, and I think that's a bad idea for vintage stock. But they could do gangbusters if they wasn't selling their shit at a high price, and not only that, and giving you pennies, literally pennies for your shit. Maybe people would sell their shit more often to you. The only reason I sold a bunch of my Sega Genesis sports games because no one else wanted them. And I was the sucker who bought them for a while because you could use the same tactic you could say that I said about this one guy, that I was padding my game numbers, but I also needed more room. So the first thing went that I didn't want no more was those Sega Genesis sports games. So, and I tried not. I mean, there's certain systems I want a full library, and one of them is the NES. And if I could ever I would do the same thing with the Sega Master System, but because they at least have not the hugest library. I'll be right back. Alright. Had to do something real quick. Now I'm gonna head out and about. I've been putting air on the phone because it's hot as fuck. It's 99 degrees. So I figured put that, but I need air now. I need air. But yeah, when I heard that guy says he's a collector, you might be collecting now, but I wouldn't call yourself a collector. I mean, I might be sounding like I'm elitist or something. I'm not trying to do that. Sorry, guys, give me a second. There we go. I'm not trying to sound like elitist, but and like I said, I felt like this guy was trying to ask a bunch of business questions. That's what it seemed like. Oh, you buy it on eBay, or do you, people? Yeah, I'm sure some people hey, I don't want this. You can have it. I've done that to some stores. If I had a broken system, I might just can I get a few bucks? If not, I'll just, they're not really. Then I was you can have it then. Because I don't want to toss the thing away. I'd rather them have a chance to make a profit on it. If I like your store, and it seems fine that I'll donate the broken system to you, I'm willing to do that. Because I'm not like one of those assholes. I'm going to try to screw a good company like this store. But like I said, I really feel like this guy was asking a bunch of business questions. And he's then he's I'm a collector now. But he had no idea about Atari 2600 when the guy's older than I am. And he didn't know anything about it. Then he's talking about the Commodore 64 Mini, or the C64 Mini. Yes, that's the proper way. It's called the C64 because Commodore didn't license it to them. So it's technically the C64. But he was do you think if I can hook up this controller to that system, it would work? It's called YouTube, asshole. Or Google. I was I had no idea. I would tell him, not only I have no idea, but I would say, you can Google that answer, or I wouldn't suggest trying it with an expensive controller, because then you'll be oh, why does it not work? Well, it's not meant to do that. And then he's you gotta remember, this guy's a collector. The guy's I couldn't get my C64 Mini to work properly. He didn't know, just because the keyboard on it it's not functional. It has a a virtual keyboard, or you can get a USB USB keyboard hooked up to it. I mean, they cheaped out, so they didn't have to put more money into it. It's just casted that way. So that's why if you want to use a keyboard, you have to actually plug a keyboard into your system that has a mocked keyboard on it. It's hilarious, but it's whatever. It's not a big deal. I might want to. I'm not 100% sure of my C64. And the way he was saying it sounded weird. I swear he was like saying CS64 or something like that. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? But, yeah, the guy had no idea. And I think, like I said, I really think the guy is trying to be either he's starting, he heard about how popular video game collecting is now, or he finally got the nostalgic bug that I got bit over 20 plus years ago. And he either got bit by the nostalgic bug, and now he wants to play all these old Atari games, or he's trying to be a reseller, and he's just trying to collect all the tips from them as much as they can. I just couldn't, I want to hit my head across the wall from all the stupid questions he was asking. Especially after he said, I'm a collector. Like, then you should know some of this shit, collector. Just say, I'm getting into collecting, asshole. But I know I sound like I'm an elitist now. I'm not trying to be, but when I heard something stupid like that, and hopefully when you guys, if I'm able to play that audio for you guys, hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. I see this Home Depot truck that you can rent, and it says rent me starting at $19 for the first 75 minutes. Well, I'm gonna call bullshit on that, because you can use it to move stuff around, sure, but then you gotta fill those vehicles back up with fuel. If not, they'll charge that on top of your that $20. So U-Haul and Home Depot with those pricing on their vehicles is a load of bullshit. Because I know when I was moving a couple times, it get into the hundreds of dollars. Shit, when I was moving from Pennsylvania back to Oklahoma, it was a little bit cheaper on the from U-Haul, but you got it on this side. But then I would have to pay for all the gas or diesel, wherever it took. And then I would have to load it all up. The time is ticking on U-Haul. And by the time I got into Oklahoma, I would have to start unloading the second it got there, so I could try to cut the costs down. While a pod, it would probably cost about the same amount of money with the pod than the U-Haul. It was about $1,000 more, but there was so much more advantage with the pod than the U-Haul. The pod, I think you had 2 weeks to load that thing up before they come and get it and then ship it out. And then I think you either have 2 weeks or a month to unload that pod full of stuff. And I had to get like a 16-foot pod to fill up everything. I'm glad I did, because I was afraid with all the stuff that I would have to crunch everything into a smaller pod, but we went with a 16-foot pod. I think it took about 3 or 4 G's to use a pod. I mean, I went with way less stuff going from Oklahoma to Pennsylvania to when I was coming back. I had way more stuff to come back with. And I gave some, well, technically I didn't give my furniture away. Well, I don't want to get into it. It could cause bad blood if I start to get into this. And last thing I want to do is get in more bad blood with people. So I'm not even going to bring this part up. But furniture let's just say it was taken care of. It was gotten rid of. So, and it needed to be, because I couldn't take it with me. So, and I was very emotional at the time. Honestly, I just lost my wife at the time. Whoa, this guy almost hit me. So I was very emotional. Like I told one of the people I work with today, what sucked, there's a couple guys, good guys, just lost their wives. And I told this one woman, I was like, I would tell them that they probably need to seek therapy. Because I know that first year plus, I should have went to therapy. I felt like when my wife died, I felt like half of myself died with her. And to the point where there was some stuff would trigger me. Trigger emotions. I don't get those triggers anymore because, I was able to let go all my grief and mourning. But, it was really hard that first year. Gosh, I mean, I should have did therapy. I was emotionally wrecked. There's only a couple people, like, my mom was the best person who knew how emotionally wrecked I was. I was fucked up. If I was into drugs or alcohol, I could easily gotten to both. And I think that's what my game, I kind of guess I got into my own version of drug, is game collecting. And just dived into work harder. I hate to say this, but I couldn't wait to get back to work after my wife passed, because I had to get away from all the stuff that was happening. With with all the stuff that was happening. I was emotionally fucked up. But so, and I told my mom, all this fucked up. One of the guys, no, not one of the guys, some idiot found me on either Messenger or my phone, sent me a text to me, saying, I know what you did. I'm like, what? I might have said, I probably told him to fuck off and, like, dude, my wife died. Fuck off. And then I blocked that cocksucker. Like, I'm already going through so much mental problems because that motherfucker had to do that. And then I had an asshole at my old job now was saying that, and I don't care if this creates bad blood from me and this douchebag. This guy was a douchebag. I said some stuff before where this guy said some horrible shit that he said that I caused my wife to kill herself. I'm like, huh, interesting. That motherfucker didn't get fired. He should have got fired for that thing. And I could have got that guy fired from all the bullshit he said. And the guy threatened to kick my ass, too. Virgil, you know who I'm talking about. That motherfucker should have been fired. That asshole threatened me in the bathroom. That motherfucker needs to be blackballed from the harassment that guy did to me. Mainly some of the bullshit he said about my wife. That motherfucker needs to go down, Virgil. You know who I'm talking about. I'm getting emotional. It's 102 again. So I'm going to hit this vintage stock, and then I'm going to go home. So I'll see you guys in a few. Alright, guys. Last store for the day. But, sorry I got a little emotional. I mean, that stuff still triggers emotions, obviously. So, this might be the latest part of me coming out, but I found a bunch of consoles this guy would consider. I took a few pictures of them, so it's debatable. I'm just curious to see if people consider some of this stuff I found a console. And then, you know what? I'm working on the video, like I said before. I actually did half of it, and I can't wait to do the other half, explaining why I feel like this is considered a console and this is not. So, but yeah, you might, like I said, it might sound the elitist out of me, but I'm not trying to. But when I see some bullshit, I feel like I have to call it out a little bit. So, and they really didn't have anything at this vintage stock. Nothing really to note. I mean, this one has way more games than the other vintage stock. Like, I feel like there's two vintage stock that's kind of whittling down their shit. Their video game shit. And I'm probably almost at the point, there's no point on the other one anymore. I mean, it's a habit. I mean, it's so close to the video game store. It's like, okay, I'll go in and out just take a quick look, see if there's anything. If not, I'm out. I was thinking about going to Harbor Freight and get that shelf. I really want to get a shelf and really want to get two, but I need to at least get one shelf and a 3-way adapter, and actually probably get a power strip. I'm thinking about doing that. I don't want to. It's too fucking hot, and I don't want to go nowhere else. And I don't have the money to do all that. But I kind of need to, though, too. We'll see. I really don't have the energy to do that. I just wasted a lot of the energy as it is. Maybe I'll just do it. Take a quick look at the shelf that I'm talking about. Because I need to put I tried this before to save a few bucks. Tried to stick my chargers on my tool battery chargers. I tried the Gorilla Tape and Gorilla Glue, and they fallen off now. It lasted for a while, and I didn't want to put screws in there to hold it attached to my box. So I think that's just the best way I gotta go. So I'm actually about to call my mother and head over there and just deal with it. And then I'll probably, when I get home, I'll show you a couple things I picked up. Not a lot. Not been out and about and spending a ton of cash. I've been had to try to pay. I'm working on bills right now. Plus, I've been not working on as much overtime I used to, so that cuts into my paycheck. And it's kind of hard to want to work overtime when it's been high 90s or hitting hundreds. It's kind of hard to, I mean, I would do an hour each day if it wasn't brutally hot. I could easily do one more hour during the winter, during the fall, if we had a spring this year. Because we literally went from winter to right into summer. There was no spring. The year for 2022, spring didn't exist this year. It was just like I said, it went from winter straight into summer. And I'm not being funny about it. I mean, it sounds funny, but I'm being dead serious. There was no spring. I mean, dude, usually it takes about the end of June, beginning of July when I had to start mowing. I've been having to start mowing probably end of May. Because how high the grass is getting from all the rain and the warm weather or the hot weather. Luckily, we hadn't had any rain in a little bit that stopped the grass from growing because I mowed the grass on the front yard and it's still staying pretty short. I gotta do the backyard this weekend. Not looking forward to doing that, but I just gotta I kind of took my time doing the front yard, and I think that's the trick, just pacing it out instead of trying to bust right through it. I might have to steal a couple of my bandanas. You know what? I need to go to Harbor Freight anyways, because the reason is I can get a couple of those cool towels that I can put around my neck while I'm working. So, yeah, I got to now. So, actually, I'm about to stop this so I can call my mom. My mommy. Mama is raw. And tell her where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I'll be home about half an hour from now. From this point. So, I don't want to, but there's some things I need. So, I might show you guys what I picked up. We'll see. Fun to Harbor Freight, maybe. But I'll definitely show off the 2 games from the PS4 and the Pong clone in its box when I get home. So, I'll see you guys in a few. And I'm back, guys. I had to take a break a little bit, just got home. So, let's show off first is the Sears Telegames Electronic Pong Sports 2 console. Pong clone console. You see it has Pong, hockey, street tennis, and street hockey. That's what it looks like on that side. I guess you have several versions of games right there. You got 2-player Pong. You got 2-player Super Pong. 2-player Maxi Pong. 2-player Team Pong. 2-player Hockey. 2-player Super Hockey. It sounds familiar. 2-player Team Hockey. 2-player Maxi Hockey. Then you got 2-player Street Tennis. 2-player Super Street Tennis. 2-player Maxi Street Tennis. 2-player Team Street Tennis. And you got 2-player Street Hockey. 2-player Super Street Hockey. 2-player Maxi Street Hockey. Then 2-player Team Street Hockey. So, yes, I'm actually using something else to hold this up, so give me a second. And here's, you guys saw what the next 2 games are. You got the Rise of the Tomb Raider, the 20th year celebration for the PS4. And then, just for kicks, Micro Machines World Series. So, those are my pickups. So, thanks for watching. If, like I said, guys, if you guys want me to show off, like, my random pickups in the future, just put it in the comments. So, I'll talk to you guys later. See you.